Tonight, our main speaker is Dave. Help me welcome Dave.
Hi, my name's Dave, and I'm an alcoholic. And I'm really glad to be here. I want to thank Ryan for doing his job, and Curtis, and Chris, and Anthony, and Melissa. And I want to thank Jeremy for having 11 months. That's pretty damn good example. And Anthony again for having 90 days, and Melissa again. You know, I think that's pretty good. They're all examples of the power of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's what I found when I came here. And I've loved it ever since. Well, maybe not so much the first 2 years, but I have loved it, you know. And I'm glad to see all of you here. Don't worry about the little boy. He can run around here, fly airplanes, anything. Because I come from a family of 10 kids, so I know what that's like. Can't scare me. I came to AA in October 1st, 1982. And it was in Mountain View, California. And I met my sponsor at the second meeting. He told me to shut up and sit down or get out of the meeting. So, you know, I wouldn't let him push me around, so I sat down. And this guy's really got something he wants to say, you know. And that was the start of my life with him. He got sober in 1949. He was a Marine, a tough guy Marine. He was a member of the Chosin Reservoir, frozen chosen in South Korea in 1950s. And he was a real tough guy. And he would tell anybody to do anything. You know, he thought he was the king of AA. They told him he wasn't, but he didn't care. He was a Marine, you know. And he made my life so comfortable. Every night we would go to Bob's Big Boy in California and have the cheeseburgers and French fries. Once in a while he'd say, "You want apple pie?" And he'd buy me apple pie. But he had a whole crowd of guys that hung around with us, people he sponsored, and a couple ladies he sponsored too. And he gave himself to AA like nobody's business. This guy was good. This here, if you read that, that's about service. I want the hand of AA to be there. The hand of AA. I have to do this. That person that's reaching out for help, he may not know how to reach out for help. I have to reach the hand of AA to him. You know, that's really important. If you didn't know that, I wanted to make sure you understood what that's talking about. Chairs, washing dishes, making coffee, all the things that Ryan and Curtis and Chris did, that's all service. Nobody's a leader. We are trusted servants. We do this for ourselves and our higher power that keeps us sober. And that's the way I've led my life in AA. And that's the way, if you want to make it, if you want to have that 11 months, if you want to have that 90 days, you got to get into service. Help others. If you don't have anything to take to that Thanksgiving feast on the 28th next Thursday, take your hand and go there and greet everybody there. These people might be there with their kids and they're homeless, or they might be there and they have nothing and they need people to love them back to good health. And that's what they did to me in AA. They love me back to good health. They love me back to a spiritual way of life. I never had it. I hated church when I was a kid, and I left there and never came back. And I got sober in AA, and they immediately wanted me to do all this church stuff and higher power and God. Oh, jeez. Now you ruined it for me. But about 2 years later, I got off the dime and figured that I'm not going to church because my God listens to rock and roll, and he ain't sitting in that church. He's in the car waiting for me. What are you doing in there, you know? And that's the way I love life. I just love life. This is the greatest thing. I've had so many friends in AA from Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Honduras, Seattle, Nova Scotia, you name it. I rode my motorcycle everywhere. And it's because of people in AA taught me how to live happy. Because I didn't know how to live happy. I didn't know how to live on a spiritual basis, you know. And they taught me how to speak at AA. Show some intensity, emotion. You got to do this. Maybe you will make one person listen, and in 6 months he'll come back to AA and go, okay, I got to have this thing. I got to have it, you know, because that's what I did. I had to have this thing. And, you know, I was no different than everybody else. I was a nutcase, you know, been in nut houses all over the United States without a motorcycle. But I'm so happy to be here and be with you guys. This is so cool. The holidays are coming up. See, I got sober in October. So before you know it, it was Thanksgiving. And my sponsor said, how you doing one day? And I said, well, you know, it's the holidays, and I never was happy when I was a kid in the holidays. And he said, oh, you poor boy, boo-hoo-hoo, because he don't like whining. He don't like whining at all, and he wouldn't let me whine, you know. And if you hang around most of the old-timers or mid-timers, old-timers are over 30 years. Let's get that straight here. Phil, Linda's family, and Phil's like my daddy. He's got 38 years. Lee, he's like drunken Uncle Lee, but he's sober 30 years. They're like my family, you know. I hang around guys with 6 months, 5 years. It don't matter. 40 years, 47 years. I keep coming back. And whoever's there, whether it's a whole bunch of people with 90 days or 90 years, I'm staying here. I love this program. I love all the people in it, except for the people that keep going out and having cigarettes and talking on their phone. I'm sorry, they told me not to say that. But, you know, they would have killed us when I was new if we did something like that. I hate to think about it. But, you know, this is it. We always used to tell guys, we'd say, where were you? And they'd say, what do you mean? Well, why weren't you at the meeting? Well, I had to do some stuff. Oh, you should have been here. The guy with the message, he had to answer to all your problems. He was just in there, and he just left in his car, and you didn't get to hear him because you didn't come to the meeting. And that's why you go to meetings, because you don't know who's going to carry the water. It's like we're all dying of thirst, and you don't know who's going to bring that bucket of water, and you'll go, oh, he's got the answer. Look what he said, you know? And that's the way we were. You know, somebody stand up with a bucket full of water, and we run up like a bunch of little kids, like it was a box of candy, because we wanted to have some reason to go to one more meeting so we wouldn't die. Because this is not the common cold. My friend Gustavo says that all the time. This is not the common cold. You can buy some Dristan at the market or the pharmacy, and it'll all be okay. This is life and death. This is prison or nut house. You've got to do something about it. We can't do it for you. We can hold your hand and walk you through anything. Anything. We'll be your best friends forever if that's what you want. But you gotta want it, and you gotta want it to give it away. You can't give away something you don't understand. You gotta read those books, that literature. You gotta listen to some old fogey like me talk to you, because I care about you. I really care about you. And that's what the old timers used to say to me, you know. You don't get this spiritual life doing nothing, you know. I did every drug in the world, but, you got to do this. I'm doing the you-knows. You did the so's. I was scared to death. Well, I was going to get up here and do the so's, but now I'm doing the you-knows. If you've ever spoken anywhere, you do that, you know? And I could go on for hours. I could talk till the end of time because I care. All the people I hang out with care. My buddy Gustavo cares. He's got 12 Mustangs. This guy is the real deal. He has a stallion that breeds them, and he has all these little babies. And his wonderful wife takes care of those little babies. You know? He never dreamed. Yeah, I did it, didn't I? He never dreamed that he'd get horses and stuff and get sober and have little pastures for all the horses. I'm telling you, it's the greatest thing. I never dreamed I'd be going to Costa Rica, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Panama. I never dreamed that. I never dreamed that I would ride a Harley all over all 50 states. But I can do anything. I can go anywhere because I'm sober. I'm clean. I don't even smoke wacky weed. And the people say, well, don't say that. But it does. Anything that shuts you off from the sunlight of the Spirit. That's what it says in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And whether it's wacky weed, some good cocaine can shut you off from the sunlight of the Spirit. I've had that happen. So I don't do that stuff. I come here. I got guys I served in Vietnam with, I guess it's 47 or 49 years, and they flew down here from New Hampshire and Illinois to see me. To see me. And they didn't know I had a drinking problem in Vietnam. I sure hid it, I wanted to get along. But they were the greatest guys, and they come down here to see me, go out with my family. All of us eat dinner together. I go and see them at the reunions, This is great stuff. I would have never showed up if I was drinking. I would have been too embarrassed because, I couldn't even fly on an airplane because I was always drunk on airplanes. And I have such good feelings toward these guys, and they've done so much for me. And they're the greatest. A lieutenant and Sergeant Bill Murphy, the greatest guys you ever want to meet. And my Colonel Dolph Carlson, and Colonel Thomas. You know, why is a buck sergeant hanging around with these colonels? Well, it's because they respect me today. They respected me back then. I lived through it, and I got back here, ruined my life, and came to AA with God's help. I don't know how. And I've been going to meetings ever since. And I still go 8 meetings a week. This is 9. This is my 9th. This will be my 9th meeting this week. Well, I did that when I was new. I'd go to 3 meetings a day. They got me my first job, the AA guys did. We went to the Fish House restaurant in Palo Alto. And it's a real fine Palo Alto restaurant. Quite the place. So I went in there and ate with my sponsor, one of his sponsees. He was the manager of the restaurant, and a couple other guys. And then when we were done, the manager said to me, "What do you think?" Did he say, "Well, it's just a wonderful meeting. You're so handsome and charming and intelligent"? No. He says, "Go see Hernandez in the back. He'll show you what to do." He got me a job washing dishes. It was my spiritual contact, and I didn't even know it. I had all these dreams of grandeur. Did anybody have those, whether you were drunk or not? Oh, boy, I was really something in my mind. And I'm really glad that I'm here with you guys, because we're going to see each other at different meetings, maybe that Thanksgiving dinner or maybe the Christmas dinner. But, you sooner or later you're going to find some alcoholic in a grocery store or something, hiding, going down the liquor aisle. I do it. And I just find it wonderful to meet all these people in AA at Walgreens or whatever, at Dick's Sporting Goods, This is pretty good life. Me and the guys, we used to ride motorcycles all the time together, but I quit about 4 years ago, maybe 5, and put the Harley up for sale and stuff, because I can't drive at night and I can't see or have balance enough to ride a bike anymore. But, I met some wonderful guys in and out of AA that I rode with. And that's pretty good. I don't know about you guys. I like hanging out. And we would hang out. We'd go to the movie theater and watch movies. Everybody go in, bunch of us guys sober, and we'd all be drinking pop and stuff. We'd go to strip clubs. Oh, no, don't say that, Dave. We were new. We did a lot of things probably we shouldn't have done. But, we stayed sober, and we laughed about it, and we followed the old-timers around and made fun of them behind their backs. We loved it, We always questioned whatever they say. Oh, that's not true. God damn it, there is, But we would do that. This friend of mine I got sober with 37 years ago, Doug, he would always say to them, they'd be talking at the meeting, he'd say, "That's not true. Oh, these old timers, you just go nuts at them." And he just loved it. He'd love it, And, you meet some wonderful people in there. Just wonderful. Their families and stuff greet you into their homes. All these, I did the again. You meet them and go to the AA conventions and camp outs. Has anybody gone to Lake Pleasant down there for the camp out? Well, that's cool. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, we have the biggest AA camp out, and we meet at the big park, Fort Tuthill, at Flagstaff. We have the most wonderful people there, scads and scads of trailers and motor homes, and people running around, new people, 5-year people, 10-year people, everything you can think of. Little kids running around safe for the first time in their life. Somebody can take care of them because they're sober and clean. Boy, I thought that was great when I could go see my stepkids after I got sober and hang out with them, because nobody wanted me near anybody or anything. He's a drunk. My mother-in-law and I became best friends because I was sober. And she would stop. Sometimes did you ever do this? I was walking back behind from the tavern, you ever do that? By myself in the middle of the day. And it's hard to get home when you're all drunk, right? Well, somehow they drove down the street, and there's Daddy Dave. He's laying in the gutter, and he's all curled up. And my mother-in-law drove up, rolled the windows down, and said, "Hey, girls, there's your dad." And I woke up, and we turned into best buddies. I have these great step-grandkids and stuff. It doesn't get any better than this. I've had every kind of car from a 300ZX 2+2. It's great. Big pickups, little old cars, little cars. It's been the greatest. Gone fishing, deep sea fishing, everything. Friend in AA, lived in Costa Rica. I sponsored him his first 6 months, and then he went to prison. It was just a misunderstanding, He had 6 months. What happened? And when he got out of there 2 years later, things left. His insurance agent left. His house left. His wife left with the insurance agent. And this guy was cooking with gas. He lived in Sedona, in the biggest house in Sedona, before they had red lights. That's how long he was up there. That guy moved to Costa Rica when he was 2.5 years sober and lived there. Sold everything in the States, and he lived there. And, I met him again when he had 16 years. And he was back visiting the States, his aunt and uncle and brothers and sisters. And he said, "You got to come to Costa Rica." And I thought, this is an alcoholic. Should you really listen to him? Because I don't know about you guys, but they told me when I was hiring alcoholics to work for me, and my sponsor said, "Oh, that's a good idea. But remember, expect them to work like alcoholics." You don't find that funny? Okay. But we always thought it was because they are something else. And I went and visited him, and I went and lived there. Me and my sponsor, Tom, from over in Clarkdale, we went there together. Tom didn't want to come back, but he had to. We had such a wonderful time. We met all his kids. We met his sponsor. It's great. And then Tom has all these kids and grandkids, and he's got a wonderful life. He's 40 years sober, and he likes people, and he's always had a ponytail. He's 76 years old, Harley rider, all that. He's a good guy. He does everything for people in NA and AA. He's just that kind of guy. And you'll have that in your lives. The more time you get, the more time you're going to have to help other people. This is a we program. We did these things. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. And that's before it's in us. It's just a sign on a beer truck with the little water and beer suds going down the side of it. And you can taste it. I thought that was great. When I was first sober, I sat down on the bench at the bus station on El Camino Real, and this guy came over and sat down beside me. He was a Hispanic guy and stuff. He said, "Oh, hola," and I said, "Hola." And then he said, "You want to smoke a joint?" Now, anybody, what do you do when someone says, "Do you want to smoke a joint?" Yes, right. You say, "Yes, sirree, I sure do." And I smoked that joint, and then I caught the bus, and I went to the AA meeting. I had to see my sponsor, and I'm crying because I know I got to tell him. And he said to me, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I smoked a joint." And he says, "Oh, that's okay." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah. You just got to find a sponsor who smokes pot with 36 years of sobriety." He had a good answer for everything. And so I had to change my sobriety date, blah, blah, and all that. So then all these other fools that got sober after me, they were more sober than me. I hate that. Do you guys? My gosh. And, ever since then, I've been leading the crowd. I'm full of myself. I don't know if you guys, these guys know that. I'll talk until the day the cows come home. I'm really something. I don't do the you-knows usually at the meetings. I save them from when I'm speaking. The so's are pretty good, but not. I hate those you-knows. I guess I'm getting close to. Do I have time or? Okay, cool. Okay, I can do that. My family, they came down to see me a month ago, and we haven't seen each other for 16 years, and it was because we're all alcoholic children of an alcoholic man. And so they couldn't stand me, I couldn't stand them. I was rotten, I got locked up, they were wonderful. They drank and didn't get locked up, blah, blah, blah. And, okay, I did teach my nieces to smoke cigarettes at an Easter celebration. I did it. I'm a funny guy that way, I didn't mean anything. And the kids will still see me. They're all grown up, and they'll still do that. Oh, they loved it. Those are the greatest kids. I got dogs now. They take care of me. I have a caregiver that takes care of me. And she said a bunch of things I will not repeat to you about me speaking tonight. And I don't know where she gets this stuff. Her 3-year-old little girl just loves me to death. I'm telling you. And I got these 2 dogs, Tinker and Roger, and Roger pees all over the house, and Tinker tries to bite Roger. But I'm really happy, Those guys crawl up on my bed at night, and we go to sleep. And, I remember being locked up, and I had no window. You couldn't see the moon or the sky or the sun or a bird or leaves. And I go out and look at the moon. I'm always telling everybody, "Oh, that's a beautiful moon. Look at that sunshine. What a great day." Because everything's better than when I was drunk. Because you have no life. I'm going over. You know, if you're drinking, you have no life at all. I do fall down a lot. That's why I got the cane. It's also to make a lot of noise if I don't think you're listening. But, you know, hey, I digress. Anyhow, you know, I love that free beer tomorrow because I'm never here tomorrow. And that's just rotten. But, you know, I love the way you guys fix this up because I used to come here every morning to the men's meeting and it was real trashy. But this is first class. Yeah, you know, can you imagine what this was like when they were still smoking in AA? Oh my God, it'd be like a fire coming up the wall with all the smoke and everything. It was terrible. When I was 2.5 years sober, I quit smoking and chewing. I used to chew Copenhagen all the time because I used to raise horses. And I could smoke on the manure pile because it was in Washington, it was always wet. And I could chew inside while I took care of the horses and stuff. And I could chew when I was out baling hay or spreading manure. But I couldn't smoke anywhere on the farm because all the no smoking rules. We had geese and lambs. The owner of the place had his grandkids all over. We had 13 lambs, 49 ducks, and about 26 geese. And there was this one big goose that was always flying at you, trying to get you. And he got the stallion once out in his stallion's field, and that stallion would kick you to death. When you took hay out to the stallion's field, he had a little kennel there, and you'd roll it out in a wheelbarrow because you had to keep the wheelbarrow between you and the stallion. And then you dump the hay off and throw his grain like that and run back with that wheelbarrow because you didn't want that thing to eat you. That was one mean stallion. And they used to breed them the old-fashioned way by hand. And they'd say, Dave, hold the mare, okay? Now, we're going to turn the stallion loose. What? And they turned that stallion loose, and he was either going to jump on the mare or bite me. And I'd run around with that mare and get away from him. It scared me to death. And I can admit I'm scared. Years ago, I couldn't. I used to climb a 96-foot tube, and when I was logging, and I'd restring the wires up there, 1.25 inch main line and 3/4 inch or 7/8 haulback, and I'd be all the way up on top of that tube. And the tube at the top is about that wide. It's about this wide at the bottom. And everybody's standing down there. And this nut, drunk, would put some cocaine on the top of the tower, take his straw, and snort it up there. I can't even walk up a 3-foot ladder now. Because, I'm in reality now. I'm living life on a spiritual basis, and I say, save me to everybody all the time to get myself out of situations like that. And it's just wonderful. I don't know what you guys done or not done, whether you've been to Alaska or not, Hawaii or not. I love that stuff. I can go anywhere, do anything. A friend of mine wrote a special program on a computer for the Veterans Administration to help them solve all the problems at the VA. They invited him back to Washington, D.C. when George Bush was in, not now. And they had him speak to Congress about what he did and show the congressional rats how he did it, you know. And the guy's just something. He got sober when he was 21, you know. He's got it made the rest of his life. Computers, you know, everything. And you guys can do the same thing. No matter what you want to do, you can do it if you're sober. Think about it. You know, it don't get any better than this. This is great. Well, I'm running out of time now, and I'm running out of voice. So I love you. Thank you very much.